Welcome, welcome, welcome! Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker Theory sees Rey raise the Death Star from the ashes. Now, I know before you all comment going, what are you talking about? There's some precedent for this. Okay, so, this is a theory just by Disney, Star Wars is dumb, right? Now, it's just someone just doing theories out there. But it comes off the back of a few things. Now, first thing, Doug Chiang, who is a concept artist, worked on The Force Awakens. And part of the concept art is the Death Star coming out of Jakku. Now, that's not the big thing which gives precedent. The bigger thing comes from Peter Serretta, who has renowned some leaks, some scoops. And he says, if you want some hints about Star Wars Episode 9, you might want to revisit some early concept art for Star Wars The Force Awakens. So there we go, that's the background. And let's get into the main bulk of why we're talking about this today. A new Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker Theory sees Rey use newly acquired Force powers to raise the Death Star from the ashes. The theory is inspired by newly released concept art of Star Wars The Force Awakens from Doug Chiang. As described by Chiang, the image shows the Death Star 2 rising out of the desert of Jakku. Now we know that they're reusing those ideas because the Death Star 2 is now in water somewhere. So logic would dictate, if they're reusing that idea, there's a high chance, because it is J.J. Abrams as well after all, who did direct The Force Awakens, and because these might have been his ideas, if he couldn't have used them in The Force Awakens, he's going to use them in Episode 9. Especially with the fact that Peter Serretta has come out and said, yeah, you should probably look at some early concept work for The Force Awakens for some hints at what Episode 9 will include and show. Now it says, not only is the theory inspired by this new concept art, but Slash Films' Peter Serretta revealed back in December of 2018 that The Rise of Skywalker would be influenced by concept art from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Again, a J.J. Abrams film. So it makes sense that this is going to happen. Or at least makes sense that it's not just throwing a theory out, you know, like pissing in the wind and just seeing what sticks. There's a high chance that this could happen. In fact, after the release of the first trailer for The Rise of Skywalker, he would point out he was discussing concept art that pointed to the ruins of the Death Star. Here's the tweet. By the way, now that the trailer reveals, here are some of the Force Awakens concept art images I was talking about, which did show the Death Star 2 underwater. There was the Emperor's throne room. There was even some, I think there was some evidence to say that there'd be, you know, like a swimming version of Kylo. I can't specifically remember the concept art. There was a lot of concept art for The Force Awakens, but the underwater stuff is what we need to take a look at. Now it says Force users lifting seemingly unliftable objects goes back to The Empire Strikes Back when Luke Skywalker was training with Yoda. Skywalker attempts to lift his X-Wing, obviously very famous. We've seen it, we all know it. And we do know that Rey is an extremely gifted Force user. An extremely gifted one. So could there be precedent for this happening? I definitely think so. Now it says it's possible a similar scene showcasing Rey's mastery of the Force could be included in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. In fact, in previews of Marvel's Star Wars Allegiance prequel comic for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, so again, canon, Rey is seen using new Force powers as she takes on some kind of giant alien monster that looks similar to an Ankylosaurus. Now again, if you look at this here, she really is tackling it. But again, it's new Force powers. Now it says, however, maybe the question of all that I have is how in the world are there even ruins from the Death Star? The massive space station appeared to disintegrate into oblivion after Lando Calrissian and the Millennium Falcon put it out of business in Return of the Jedi. Very true. Very, very true. It says, nevertheless, the first teaser of The Rise of Skywalker shows ruins of the Death Star, and there are huge chunks of it left over. What do you make of this theory? Blah, blah, blah. Look, what do you think? Again, I had to do the background stuff at the start. You know, Peter Serretta does know some things that he's talking about for sure. So I do think that there's a precedent for this. Obviously, the Death Star is being reused. Obviously, it's not on Jakku. But these were ideas floated by J.J. Abrams to concept artists, to get people talking, to get some ideas going. And now he's back on episode 9. Is he going to reuse those ideas? Yeah, of course he is. Could this be one of them? Absolutely. So what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. If you are new here, make sure you please do hit subscribe. You can turn the bell notifications on to be notified, but YouTube tends not to do that anyway, so just check back to the channel throughout the course of the day. You can see all of the updates here on the world of pop culture and movie news. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been Mr. H. Take care.